Just here this fourth day of January in 2023, and probably a lot of us never imagined that we'd ever have see this day or this time. And I know, thought about it Sunday in church, the idea that of the year 2000 was always something growing up that we never even would imagine. But I was thinking about, just for a second, about storms. And growing up on the farm, it was common for a storm to blow through. I wrote about it a little bit this morning, but just wanted to make a video about it and just say that it was always an exciting thing. It was it was something new. You'd kind of see the sky begin to get a little dark, and you'd see that the storm was blowing through. Then you'd hear the thunder and lightning. You'd hear the thunder, and you'd begin to see the lightning and see the sky getting darker. But it never really was classified in my mind as a good storm unless the dusk to dawn light outside would come on. When that light would come on, then you'd know it was a good storm. Normally the only time that light was on was at the nighttime, and that was about the only light outside. If we didn't have that light on, it was pitch dark on the farm. There was no other light. But when that light would come on in the daytime, you knew that it was a good storm. And I remember watching that. We had a tin roof on the farm growing up, and a little porch that we could go out on. And so if it was really storming good, we'd go out on that porch and kind of set back off the edge and just listen to the rain and watch it fall down. And when the storm was over, of course, the light would go back. That light would go off. The dusk to dawn light would kick back off, and wasn't long before Dad, if he was home, or Mom would get their shoes on. We'd go out and check things out. If it was in the springtime and the corn had grown up, which a lot of times those coincided with that, we'd look at see how much damage had come to the garden, just stuff like that. But the main thing, we'd always check and see how high the water got. And as for me, I was excited about it because a lot of times stuff would wash down the creek, and might be able to get a new ball or something like that would wash up, and that was exciting. And just see what all stuff, you'd just stand out and watch and see. Back in those days, folks, when they wanted to get rid of their trash, they just throw it out on the creek bank, and the storm would come and wash it down to somebody else. And of course, that it's good that we kind of eliminated that nasty habit. But it was always exciting. And I just want to say this about it. There's always a fear and a dread when a storm comes. There's always a question as to how bad is it going to be, and there's no way in the world you can control the intensity of a storm. You can't control how long the storm's going to last. All you can do is just ride it out, and you can go off of past experience and trust that your haven, your home, whatever, is going to withstand it. Our house on the farm was built up above the floodplain. Most folks wouldn't realize it, but we've seen some really bad storms, but the water has never got up to the house. It's gotten close. So obviously when they built the place, they knew that it was high above, or high enough above, where the storm would come, and that little creek would flow. And it normally you could jump across it, but when it would storm, it would look like a river out front. And so, but it never got up to the house. So we trusted in that and had confidence in that. That's not to say it could never happen, but it never has happened. And then as far as the winds blowing and all that stuff, so when a storm comes, you trust and you have some confidence that you can endure the storm. And then also after it would pass over, it was a lot of times it'd be hot in the summertime, and just the heat was unreal right before the storm would come, but afterwards it would cool the air and it would feel good. I particularly like to walk along barefooted, and if it was a garden, of course you didn't want to run out in the garden because you'd mess hard in the ground, but along the edge I'd squish my feet, my toes in that mud and stuff, and it was exciting. But the thing about all that is, the storm ended, and after the storm ended, it was kind of an exciting time. It was something that I grew to look forward to just see what was going on afterwards. And I think about that today in my life as a believer, as an adult, There are a lot of storms. As a Christian, whether you're saved or lost, you're going to face storms in life and difficulties. If you're saved, you know that that Jesus watches over us. He protects us. That we have in Him a haven of rest from the storm. And no matter what's going on, we can go to Him. No matter how hard the storm rages, we can trust in Him. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't get scary, because there are some storms and there are some conditions that are going to come about that are going to cause you some fear and trembling on the inside, and God allows that. And once we get comfortable or accustomed to something and think that we don't need Him, you can rest assured that the Lord's going to let a storm rise up that causes us to realize how good He is. Then that light would come on. Normally that light only come on at nighttime. You'd forget about it during the daytime, but sometimes the storm gets so bad during the daytime that the light that lightens the night, that light would come on and remind you of it. And the Lord's not just there for us during the night seasons. He wants us to be mindful of Him during the daytime as well, all the day long. We need to think about Him. And so I just want to say this, that we started this year off with a little storm. Doesn't really matter. You don't have to name your storms. It doesn't really matter what the name of it is or what the condition is or whatever. Everybody likes to name storms. If they get sick, they got to have a name for the sickness. To me, sickness is sickness. A storm is a storm. The real issue is the fact that God sees us through our sicknesses. He sees us through our valleys. He sees us through our storms. Whatever the situation is, it's not so much what the problem is, but it's what the solution is. And Jesus is the solution. God is He's the one that sees us through it. And so I just want to rejoice today and just say that I'm glad for so great a salvation. I'm glad for God. I'm glad for the fact that He sees us through whatever we face, whatever we deal with. He sees us through it. So God bless you. And just y'all have a great day and a happy new year to folks. And just trust in the Lord, lean upon Him, and let Him be with you all the year long. And rejoice in the storms, whether it comes at the beginning of the year, in the middle of the year, or whether maybe it's the whole year long. Just rejoice in it and get to know God a little bit better, and trust that He'll watch over you. And if I can figure out which one to end this, that'd be great. Here we go.